And this is the feature, our inaugural episode of our In Case You Missed It / What's New at Apptio with our product suite and the features that we're rolling into our products for our existing customers. But we're doing this also so that our potential customers and basically just everyone in the community can see the innovation that we're bringing to our products based on what's going on with the community, based on our thought leadership, as well as the feedback that we're getting from our customers based on the close relationships that we have from them. So without further ado, my name is Hunter Willis. I'm a product marketing manager here at Apptio, and I'm really pleased to be able to deliver this content today. We're going to go over a quick agenda. First, we're going to be talking about what's new with Apptio One product family. Then we're going to be going over the Cloudability product family and what's new with it, as well as what's new with Planability. And then the format for this, what we're going to do every month is highlight one of the main features that's released across our product suite, dive into conversations with the people that are very familiar with them and the value that they bring within Apptio, right? And potentially even some people from the community. So stay in touch with that moving forward. This month, we're going to be focusing on the Cloudability multi-currency general availability that's come live for our customers. I'm going to be speaking with James Jackson and Mallory about that, and had two great conversations with them, and we'll flip that over here in just a minute. First, though, I want to talk about the Apptio One platform and product news, what's going on with that. We're releasing a new product within the Apptio One suite called Apptio One Demand. Okay, now Apptio One Demand is basically providing simple and accurate, transparent IT service planning for our customers, right? What it's doing is basically sourcing and aggregating service demand from business units so that business relationship managers, stakeholders, business owners can plan, track, and influence consumption of IT services, right? Allowing them to adjust service demand by understanding upcoming consumption costs and variances against previous years, really providing some data for planning and improving unit rate accuracy within their organizations. Second big update, change tracking in IT planning, right? So now there's actually audit logs in IT planning that allow to see not only that there has been a change, but what that change was and who made it. So really big deal here, big request from our customers, really pleased to be able to deliver that. And so lastly, we have a new prescriptive cost model. It's going to accelerate time to value for our new customers. We're using AI internal tools to essentially really accelerate the deployment and allocations through cost models and IT towers, helping customers essentially get onboarded much quicker with our solutions by using our technology and experience all rolled into one. So for the Cloudability product suite, we've got Cloudability multi-currency general availability coming live for Cloudability. That is basically making Cloudability the first solution to provide a single pane of glass multi-cloud visibility entirely in the customer's preferred currency, right? Doing that currency translation across the board. So really high in demand feature for our customers, but we're going to dive deep more into that here later on this episode, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Number 2, GP3 EBS right sizing, really significant for our AWS customers. The volume type in Amazon is our number 1 recommended type. This is a great feature. It's also a quick win for our customers. Usually see about a 20% cost savings with very little risk involved with that too. And then lastly, Cloudability Shift ebook. Cloudability Shift helps organizations plan, optimize, and track their cloud migrations. And the thought leadership ebook that we have published for Cloudability Shift is it's a really great piece of content. A lot of considerations for migration based on our industry research and really our experience helping so many customers migrate to the cloud over the years, especially from that cost planning perspective. And last but certainly not least, we've got Planability Target Process, a new release here for Jira integration improvements. Now, a lot of our customers are using Jira for their agile team management, but really, Planability, really, Target Process does a really great job of bringing more of a portfolio view to that kind of agile process management, right? So for our customers that are looking for closer integration to extract more value around that process via Planability, Now there's a lot closer integration. There are filter improvements and automation rule parameters added to the solution now in this release as well. So you can check that out via the Target Process blog for more details there. So now we're going to flip over and talk to James Jackson and Mallory Boudreau about the multi-currency for cloudability. So these are great conversations, and I'm just going to go ahead and flip it over, and James is going to dive into some of the details first here. All right. Great. So we have James Jackson on the line with us today. He is product manager here at Apptio. James, tell us a little bit about yourself and specifically what you do and what your job's like here at Apptio.
Absolutely. Great to be here. So as you mentioned, I am one of the product owners, specifically in optimization, but in general for the overall cloudability platform in terms of helping to actually shape and deliver that customer user experience for what we think are best practices when it comes to cloud cost optimization.
Great. Perfect. Well, so tell us a little bit about this new feature for multi-currency, right? Tell us about technically what it's about and what it's doing in the platform.
Absolutely. So we're all about cloud cost optimization. And so cloud costs are coming in a build currency, so whatever currency that is. And what we're doing is we're actually reaching into those data streams, not only in terms of the billing and reporting that comes in for individual users, but also in the optimization recommendations we make.
Mm-hmm.
And we're allowing to surface those things in a currency of somebody's preference. And we're doing that essentially through doing a couple things. So Apptio has a broad suite of products. One of those is a central exchange rate service. And so we've integrated Cloudability with that central exchange rate service where customers can upload their exchange rates across multiples, as many as they want to. And within Cloudability, we'll go in and we understand, we'll read those exchange rates. Somebody can go in and actually select what their preferred currency is. And so whether or not they're being billed, so from multiple cloud providers in multiple currencies, and they want to select even a third currency, they can do that. And we'll actually go ahead and process all their historical billing, so for all their reporting. But in addition to that, we'll actually take those exchange rates and apply them to whatever recommendations we're making for future actions to optimize their cloud infrastructure's cost. And we'll present them in that way so that for their historical, they can see what's happened in the past according to the exchange rates that they set, and also what they're likely to look at in the future with different recommendations and how those will apply to what's going on with their cloud cost infrastructure.
That's fantastic. Well, it sounds like it takes a whole lot of the legwork out of trying to figure out what these currencies are, across the board for whatever they're trying to look at them in, right? For these conversion rates.
Absolutely. So when we talk about just in general as a customer, say that, you're an AWS customer who's historically only billed people in US dollars, but as it turns out, most of the world doesn't actually operate in US dollars, or at least they don't think that way. But they also might be working on Azure as well, which will bill in a local currency. And maybe they want to view, as many multinational organizations are, in a different currency altogether. We don't really think about, in our head, we're automatically doing a translation to a value based upon an actual currency level, and we don't really think about it. But if somebody starts throwing currencies at us, like in terms of euros as an American, it's going to take me a couple of seconds to think about, like, what does that actually mean to me in terms of value? And so just the ability to not think about that. In addition, having to do that calculation, you're also risking error. Or likewise, what if people in a multinational organization using slightly different currencies, how do they actually converse? I mean, part of the whole value add to Cloudability is to enable that conversation between different groups in the organization, not only between different geographies, but also between, engineering organization, the finance organization, and the business management organization. And quite honestly, these little changes can make a big deal, especially when you're talking about recommendations. That little bit of a change might decide whether or not you actually make a recommendation or actually take that action without knowing about it. And it's good just to be on the same page across the board, so you're at least reading from the same sheet of music.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. Well, the next question I was going to ask you was going to be, right, like tell us about the value it brings to customers and why it's important, but you definitely just nailed that pretty good right there. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on as far as like the value and the convenience that this feature is going to bring to customers, especially in kind of, and I know this is in a lot of response of what customers, like feedback they've given us, right, and our relationship with various customers for this feature too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say in terms of the value, one of the biggest things. So obviously, we talk about that ability to view in one currency, even though you're billed in a different or maybe multiple others. Standardized not only across your company but across cloud platforms. That's the basic. But if you want to up level a little bit more than that, um, a lot of the companies we deal with are tech-oriented companies. And in general, I always say that, a lot of people get into this because they like to solve hard problems. And at the end of the day, what's the hard problem you actually want your people solving? Is it converting currencies? I don't think so. I'm guessing you've got other stuff that you want to do.
Right.
And but if you make that the hard problem, sure, they'll spend all day doing that and they'll just never get around to what you
Sure.
want them to do. And likewise, it's not even so much of the guesswork. It's just, we're human beings and we make mistakes and errors and things like that. And so if you can automate and get rid of that particular piece or even just shorten that window it takes to do that, somebody can actually click and look and see it as opposed to having to take the time to do that. Just eliminating those what I call productivity shorts is certainly one of the value adds across the platform, but this literally just builds onto that with multi-currency presentation across cloudability.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, great. Well, I really appreciate you spending the time today and going through this with us. James, is there anything else that you want to add or to the conversation before we flip over here?
The only thing I would say is, as we move forward, this isn't a one and done kind of thing. We'll continue to iterate and improve. As I talked about, building in best practices, one of those best practices in cloud cost optimization is it's an ongoing process of iteration. But likewise, we're going to continue to add value and we're going to add additional things onto this as well. So folks should look forward to those coming in the future as well.
Well, that sounds great. Well, thanks again. This was excellent, James. Really appreciate it. Take care and have a great week, man.
All right. Thanks. You too.
All right. So, hi, Mallory. Thanks for joining us today. Your afternoon, my morning here. You are in Europe, which is great because you can talk to us about why the multi-currency feature for cloudability is so important for our EMEA customers. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Apptio.
Yeah, thanks, Hunter. I am the customer portfolio manager based in London, and I've worked with our most advanced European cloud customers for over 4 years. So thanks for having me today.
Yeah, great. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about your perspective on this feature for cloudability and why it's so important for our
Yeah, great
customers.
question. Let me first kind of explain the various multi-currency scenarios that you see with cloud data. So
Perfect.
you might have a situation where the cloud spend is in one currency,
Hmm.
but your org operates in another. That's pretty common, right?
Makes
AWS
sense.
spend comes in US dollars. Here in EMEA, we typically don't operate in US dollars. So you need to normalize and flip that spend over to the currency you operate in. That's one. Now, when you get into a multi-vendor situation, it becomes even more complex because you'll have scenarios where the two different cloud data sources are in two different currencies.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got these numbers you need to normalize across each other into one consistent currency. And it might be that you as an organization operate in one of those two currencies already. It also happens where you might have two source currencies, but you operate in a third. So example, your AWS spend comes in dollars, your Azure spend comes in pounds, but you operate in euros because that's where you distribute the majority of your products. So now you've got this complex problem where you've got multiple numbers and that symbol is going to obviously change the interpretation of those numbers. So the challenge there for Cloud Center of Excellence, for IT finance, and even for application owners and engineers is to make sure that all of those numbers are normalized into a single currency and make sure that everybody across the org understands what exactly they're looking at. So our Cloudability customers have found different ways to address this throughout the years based on their particular situations. But this feature, to get back to your question, this release of the multi-currency service is an enterprise-grade solution for the entire organization where the central team can create that exchange rate table and normalize the spend and then say at an organization-wide level, here is the currency we are going to use. It's an incredibly powerful way to address all of those different needs that we discussed.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so, in short, right, it's really making everyone's lives a lot easier. That's dealing with the cloud spend for everything that they're already kind of monitoring in cloudability, right? And kind of shortening this process and giving them a really nice output to deal with it all, right?
I mean, think about one of the principles of FinOps, which is that teams need to collaborate. And another principle focuses on this real-time reporting.
Mm.
Well, if your real-time reporting is in various currencies, then teams can't collaborate because they don't understand what they're looking at, right? We have to enable them with the right data so that they can collaborate.
That's so fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you again for your time, Mallory. Is there anything else that you want to add before we flip over here?
We are just so excited to see this get used across all of our EMEA customers. Thanks so much for having me, Hunter.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. All right. Again, thank you so much, James and Mallory. Really enjoyed those conversations with them. So next thing that we're going to do as we conclude here, just want to show you really quick from the Apptio Help Center where you can find more information about updates for our products, okay? So when you first log into the Apptio Help Center, it's going to bring you to this homepage here. First off, looking at Front Door itself, okay? But when I look at the products and the column on the left-hand side here, I can, for instance, navigate to Cloudability, and then there's, for each product, right, as you can see here for Front Door, there's a Find Out What's Changed. You can go down to What's New in Cloudability, right, and see the updates, okay? And you got a history of updates and summary of major and minor updates for each solution in Apptio's product suite, okay? So as we're looking at Cloudability itself here, the most recent information for the most recent release is there. When I look at the July 15th update and highlight that here, I can also see like screenshots, additional information. So, and then there's going to be summaries for every release, as you can see, going back in time quite a ways, okay? So that exists for each one of our products here. So if you're looking on, hey, where can I see what's new for each product, or a history of releases for each product, that's where you can do it. And check back again next month for the feature. We'll be doing some promotions and highlights for the next episode that we have. Until then, take care. Y'all have a great week, and we'll